Hello everyone, welcome to a new video and a very Merry Christmas. I hope you had a lovely day and I thought now would be a really good time to chat about notebooks and journals and things I will be using in 2022 to help get organised and stay on track and all that sort of thing. Lyra, come and sit here if you want to be in the video. This way a little bit. This way a little bit. So let's go straight into it and I'll start with showing you my 2022 daily list book. So this is a page per day diary just from W.H. Smith's. I really liked that cover, I thought it was quite pretty. Actually I might have to zoom in a bit so you can actually see some of these bits. Okay, a little cozier, but now at least when I lift everything up you'll be able to see what I'm looking at. So yeah, page per day diary. I'm really annoyed that they've started to separate, they've put Saturday and Sunday on one page, which really annoys me because weekends for me are just as busy, if not busier, than a weekday. So I'm a bit annoyed that they've started doing that in W.H. Smith's. But never mind, so this is what I will be using every day to write my list and everything goes in that. So if you've been around for a few years, you'll know that every year in the last, I don't know, 4 years I think, I've been using a bullet journal to get myself organised, and this was 2021's, all filled in now. I did it quite differently this year, so if you're interested in the whole bullet journaling thing, do go and have a look, type in bullet journal in the search bar on my page, or I'll try and remember to put them up in the corners, or at the end I'll put the pictures up here for a couple and then you can follow those links at the end. Because I've done it quite differently each time. I started off really detailed and I've just been getting, I've just been paring it back more and more every year because I just can't be bothered to do all of the spreads every single month. Doing all the lines for all the weeks. No, I can't be done with any of that anymore. Also, I began with the intention to make it pretty. You know, like when you see the bullet journaling YouTube channels and they do all the beautiful little doodles and sketches, and I really wanted to do that and then it just never happened. So no, I'm quite happy just to pare it back, just have it just for organising. So this year I'm hoping to fit the whole year into one book again. The year before last I had 2 books, each one only lasted 6 months, but then I'll show you how I'm going to manage to fit it in one book this year. Also a big change, I've changed from the traditional dot pages. Oh, here's a page I haven't filled much in, so you've just got dots all over the page, to a traditional lined notebook. I realise now that I'm not going to be doing this year. So last year I still had a page for every day to plan my social media and content and all that sort of thing. But this year I'm going to use a completely different book for that, which is Lyra! Oh! About to knock off Jude's Christmas decorations. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, the animals today. They're in a mood. What was I saying? I think, so this year it's just lined. I've got no splitting of weeks or days or anything. It's just going to be, well, I'll talk you through it. So here we go. Let's start from the beginning. And I did this, I've filled all this in whilst watching the Ghosts of Christmas Past Midsummer Murders episode. That's the only good Christmas Midsummer Murders, and it is a good one. We watch that every year, well I do anyway. So we've got Hello 2022 and I've got a page with contents. I don't hardly ever fill in contents, but I didn't really know what else to put on that single page. So that's what that is, and maybe I will use it and I might find it useful to have a reference. The good thing about this book, oh yes, I haven't talked about the actual book, is by Perfectly Penned. And I haven't used it yet, but it was a recommendation from Helen Redfern. If you like your notebooks, that's a good YouTube channel to go and watch. And she uses them a lot, so obviously they're good. So I trusted her, and yeah, the pens, you can see the next page through, but it's definitely not bleeding through, so I'm quite happy, and the quality of the paper seems to be good, so I'm quite sure that my normal pens will work fine in here. And then I've got word of the year, courage. Now again, I've talked about my word of the year quite a lot in past videos. I think this will be the 5th year, 6th, maybe even the 6th year, 5th I think, where I've chosen a word of the year instead of doing New Year's resolutions, which generally aren't positive, which generally you find you can't quite manage, or you fail at completely by February and then you feel down in the dumps about it. Instead of doing that, I've been choosing a word of the year to guide me through the whole year. It's just like a word to help me find my way, if you like. If I've got any decisions or I'm not sure what to do, or if I just need a little bit of, like I said, guidance, then that's the word I'm going to turn to. Now, I'm not going to talk about this too much, it's quite a personal one this year, but I did think the word could do with some more courage this year, and so that's why I've chosen it, and I've left a couple of pages to be a bit more specific, and I will fill that in later. Next page, I've got big goals, and I deliberately only left one page, otherwise I can get carried away and do far too many goals for one year. So I'm gonna just pick out a few, and those will be the main ones that I focus on for that year. And then I've got, oh, another change. In the past I've done like a separate personal bullet journal for personal things, records and tracking and all that sort of stuff, because I didn't feel it belonged with the business side of things. But this coming year I feel like it's all going to go a bit more hand in hand, because I'm going to be doing more house renovation work this year, hopefully, and so I'm going to need to be able to keep track of what I'm doing in regards to that, as to whether I'm going to have time to do other stuff. So I've decided to include, yeah, personal stuff in this one, but it won't be very much. It'll just be, I'll just leave a place to, I'll just make space for it, basically, key dates and all that sort of thing. So I decided to do a page for objectives for each thing that I do. I can't think of a better word than thing. So I think objectives is a good word, sort of like not quite goals necessarily, not quite to-do lists, but things that hopefully you know what I mean. Oh gosh, it's that time of year, I'm just tired. Hopefully you understand what I mean. Sort of, can I give you an example? I've probably got objectives at the beginning of this one. So my objective for Threads of a Fairy Tale last year, this time last year, I had made a decision to change the type of clothes I was going to make, and I was going to do less ball gown and event clothing and do more everyday clothing that people can incorporate into their own wardrobe and wear more every day. I mean, they'd still be quirky, it'd still be quite different, but you wouldn't need an event to wear it to. I mean, I think partly that came about from the whole situation, but partly I just think that there's a real gap in the market for quirky clothes that you can mix in with just a pair of jeans or a skirt to wear with an ordinary plain top, you know, that sort of thing. So that was my main objective for Threads of a Fairy Tale last year. I did go on to, because my word last year was create, and so I've also got aiming to make as much as possible and that sort of thing, and it goes on. I won't bore you with all the details, but that's the sort of thing I mean by objective. I hope that explains it a bit. So objectives for 2022, I've got a page for me. I've got a page for me. So that'll be my personal goals, what I suppose, what I'd like to achieve this year. Next, not quite this year, 2022. A page for Threads of a Fairy Tale. A page for, oh, I should say, if you're new here, if you've stumbled upon this video because you love organising and notebooks and all that sort of thing, I'll quickly explain. Threads of a Fairy Tale is my handmade, sustainable clothing business, all with a sort of fairy-ish sort of theme. So that's been going for 11 years, I think. So that's that. I've also got by Helen Hobden, and this is more of a hobby Etsy shop. So that, again, I've been running that for even longer than Threads of a Fairy Tale. And that's like handmade gifts, often using pyrography. And I've got big plans for that later on in the year. So that I've got a page for that. Page for YouTube, page for Patreon, page for creative writing, and a page for When I Grow Up, which is the name of my blog. Then I've got 2 pages for Instagram, because I've got 2 Instagram accounts. One's for Threads of a Fairy Tale and one's my own. And then I've got TikTok and Reels, and then I've got Pinterest, Facebook and Twitter on one page as well. So that's that. Then I left a page in case any new thing crops up that I need to add. If the next big social media platform arrives and I need to get on it, then I've got a page for it there. Then I've got reminders. Now last year my reminders were things like check Depop weekly at least for comments and reply. Yeah, because I've got a I didn't leave a page for that. Well, I don't really have an objective for Depop. I just put some of my old stock. Before I started making my own clothes for Threads of a Fairy Tale, we actually had a business buying and selling alternative clothing, and the stock that I've got left over is on Depop. So that's a reminder. I need to remember to check it, because it's not a habit of mine to check Depop. So that's the sort of thing that will go on there. And then I've got to-do lists, plans and everything else, and that's basically going to go from there. I've got a wad of pages from page 20 to 140 for all of that. And I did find, and I'd done something similar in last year's book, and I did find that was quite useful for even for sort of general career musings, if you like. So I do, on top of having this book for organising, I do have a separate notebook for my business, for YouTube and my blog, and probably for everything else. I've talked about my notebooks before, and I have quite a few, and generally those are the ones I would use the pages of if I just need to do sort of diary style thinking in those, sort of brain dumping. But sometimes it's an overall picture you need to think about, and that's when these pages will come in handy if I am sort of planning. I just need to think about things. That's that, and then we move on to the monthly pages. So this is another good thing. There's 2 ribbons on this book, which is going to be handy, because I kept finding myself, I used paper clips to keep my as like bookmarks on last year's book. Anyway, I've got Hello January and I've got plans, and really I'll probably use this space here to write plans as well. I didn't want to leave too much. This is sort of an overview of plans I've got for that month. If I'm doing something specific, then I will break that down in these pages. So if I'm, like, I do plan on launching my course early 2022, hopefully, fingers crossed. So all the little specific details of things I need to do for that will go in those pages, in this big wad of pages I've got before then. And so over here I wouldn't list all of that on these 2 pages. It would just be a quick move things forward with the course sort of thing. And then I've got a daily log. I've been doing a daily log for a few years, and I did debate last year whether I needed to do that. I don't know. I'm trying to move away from the thing that your productivity is your worth, but I do like seeing a good long list of things that I've done every day. I'm really struggling to move away from that. I feel like I have to be busy. I have to get a lot done every single day to be worthwhile. Oh dear, I didn't intend for this to get deep. But anyway, it is useful in other ways as well. So for example, if I'm making a dress, then I need to track how long it took to make, to give me an idea of how much I should be charging for the dress when it's finished. So in terms of that, I find it useful. In terms of just figuring out at the end of the year, looking back. So for example, if I found, like, at the end of the year I've spent so many hours on Instagram trying to push my Instagram following forward, and then it just hasn't worked out, and I can look at how many hours I've actually spent on it and think, should I continue with this or should I give up? That sort of that sort of thing. It's just quite handy to have that data, I suppose. So every day I write how long I spent on every task, more or less. I don't know if it's showing in the light. From here it just looks like you can only see a white page. But I do have different colours for different things, which really helps me, and I would really recommend doing this. So I just carry around a pencil case all the time, and I have a selection of Pilot pens in different colours. So I know Threads of Fairy Tale is purple, anything to do with YouTube or Patreon is blue, anything to do with personal stuff I just use my black pen, and I've got a turquoise pen for art, and anything for by Helen Hobden. For creative writing I use a green pen, so I can quickly see, oh, I didn't spend enough time on my novel last month, there's no green ink there whatsoever, or that sort of thing. You know, it's really handy to quickly find what you're trying to look at. So yeah, I do recommend using different coloured pens if you can. And then I've got, I've messed up a bit there, January notes. I've just got 2 pages for notes just in case I wanted them. In the past I've done weekly reviews, and I did consider bringing that back this year. Sometimes I felt like I needed somewhere to write something. So I've now got a double page spread in case I want it. I'd rather have it there than not have it there. And then I've got a double page spread for a January review, and I haven't written it in yet. So I break that up with achievements, what wasn't so good, general thoughts, and moving forward. And that's how I do my monthly reviews, to keep track of everything. And that's it. Then we're on to Hello February. And the pages are looking a bit plain at the moment. I did underline everything in pink last year. I think I might go back and do that to just liven up the pages a little. I do a different colour for every month, according to the season, what I think that season is like. And also this year I matched my colour scheme for my Instagram grid to the colours here. Don't know if I'm going a bit far with that. So that's the Nat book. And then new for this year, I am doing a second book, so I'm going to be taking both of these up to bed with me every evening to look through and fill in. I've bought the Llewellyn's Witches Date book. Years ago I used to buy these. I don't know why I stopped, perhaps I just stopped using them, but now I have another reason to use them. And so this is going to be my content and social media planner, so I don't have to write out all of this every day like I've done last year and years before. And also I find this useful. I don't follow everything. I don't follow the stars, for instance, but I do like to know where the moon's at, and all the solstices and things like that, and equinoxes. I mean, I always follow when that is, but I thought it'd be nice and handy to have a notebook that I look at regularly. So it's just to remind me. I forget sometimes the ones like February the 2nd, I always forget in bulk. I'm never quite sure how you say them. So this one has a monthly overview with a grid with a page for every day. Now, so this I'm going to use partly at the top to mark any specific dates I need to remember, like if we're away on holiday, if we've got visitors or anything like that that will affect how much time I have. I'll make a note of it on my monthly spread there, and that will probably go in one particular colour, perhaps black. And then another change from last year. On my daily log last year I had a tracker, and I ticked off, oh dear, August wasn't very good. So I took off and again it's to keep me going, to remind me. It's so, I don't know, things that I'm meant to do every single day I still forget. So I've got a Pinterest reminder, Instagram story, Reel or TikTok, blog post, a news post, and then I also added at the end of the year, what was I added? Oh, Patreon update once I started Patreon, and I think that's it. Now, of course, not everything of that is every day. The news post on my Threads of Fairy Tale website, that's meant to be only about once a week. Reels and TikToks, I'm aiming to do more, but that's definitely not a daily thing for me. That's going to be once a week, if I can find the time. But things like Pinterest I should do every day, and same with Instagram. And so again, I use different colour pens, and I can just write. I'll have to have some sort of key for this, which is probably the first letter in each thing. P for Patreon, I for Instagram, you know. So again, so that helps me keep track. So if I feel like I don't know, perhaps I haven't made many sales, I can look and think, oh, that's probably because I wasn't doing Instagram very much, or I wasn't keeping Pinterest updated, or I haven't done any, newsletters should go on there as well. I'm going to try and be better at newsletters next year. So, this is a really long waffly video. I hope you don't mind. I hope this is just what you need, with a mince pie, leftover mince pie, some chocolates, you know, the sort of thing you just sit back and relax and watch. I hope you're enjoying watching this. I hope it's not too boring. If you're into organisation and notebooks, then hopefully you're enjoying this video. Oh, I suppose now would be a good time to say, if you do, give it a thumbs up. So there's also a space on the side here for notes, and I'm going to use that for, I didn't leave a space in my bullet journal this year for things like, now let me try and find another example from last year's bullet journal. This is the other thing, I did find last year's was all over the place. The organisation of last year's didn't really work, so if you go back and watch that YouTube video, really can think twice perhaps to see whether the layout would suit you, because it didn't really work for me. Where's my quarterly planning page? Oh my goodness, the recording just stopped, which means I've been chatting for about 20 minutes. Okay, let's try and pick up the pace, Helen. Right, I found it. So last year I put in a quarterly planning, not planning as such actually, quarterly notes page amongst my content planner pages. So January to March I had things like, so I sort of make a note of generic things for the month, and also perhaps dates to remember. So I've got January sales, let people know the discounts I have, cold weather, promote cloaks, layering skirts, styling with jumpers and scarves, New Year's resolutions, trying new things, be bolder with outfits, be more you, winter sun, beach cover-ups I've got in my shop for the southern hemisphere. Then I've got don't forget World Book Day, because I've got a dress made out of old books. Talk about word of the year in January. Then there's March, meet the maker, that sort of thing. So that's done as for the whole quarter, but I'm going to do that monthly. So for February I'll remind myself Valentine's Day, perhaps I'll write a blog promoting my red dresses or something like that. Then there's the weekly page, and yeah, so this is where I'll make note of if I need to remember. For example, my videos go up on Monday mornings to patrons and Tuesday to everyone else, and so I need to remember on Tuesday to an Instagram story letting people know that that's there. And again, I need to write these things in. It happens every week, but I still forget to do it. So that's what these sections will be for, and I'm hoping that these little bits will be big enough. We'll have to experiment to see. If not, next year I might need a bigger weekly layout book. And also I wanted to have a space for a weekly focus, just one or two things that I really wanted to move forward or get done that week. And there's not really a space for that, so I'm just going to have to write that in the space at the top of each page, there and there, sort of thing. So that's what I'm going to use that book for. I think that covers everything. Does that cover everything? So yeah, I hope we all have a brilliant 2022, and I hope it brings you everything you wish for. Yeah, it's a little bit weird me saying this, because if you hadn't already guessed, I'm filming this in advance. I haven't actually had Christmas yet. I knew I wasn't going to have time to edit anything over Christmas, particularly as family are all coming to us this year. Yeah, so we're going to have a house full for quite a few days. There's just no way I was going to be able to edit something in time for this week's vlog. So I hope you don't mind that I've done this in advance. So I won't waffle on anymore. I will just say Happy New Year if you're celebrating. Enjoy the fireworks. Let's keep a conversation going in the comments. Let me know if you're celebrating the start of the new year, or do you go to bed. And we usually stay at home and have loads of lovely food and watch the fireworks on the television and get a little bit pissed at home. But if you're going out to a party, let me know, or do you just go to bed? Let me know what you do for New Year in the comments, and also let me know whether you keep a bullet journal, how you're planning on getting organised. There's a very green thing to my notebooks for this year. I feel like hopefully that's calming. I hope that's a good sort of calming and grounding sign. And of course I've got my journal here too. That's gonna this isn't anything about being organised, but I'm definitely going to keep up with my sketchbook / journal / scrapbook. I think I'll just call it a journal. Also green. So let me know how you stay organised. It might be interesting to give each other tips and ideas in the comments. Okay, have a great one, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.